Hey guys, it's JL. Today's video is going to be some creepy TikToks I've been collecting. Remember to like the video and subscribe before you leave for more videos like this.
Somebody over there.
Over where?
Right there.
Hey! What are you doing over there? Where did it go? Where did it go, Carly?
What's the craziest thing your Ring doorbell has ever seen?
A literal ghost that stood in the same spot for about 3 hours. It's in the bottom left-hand corner. It's too far away from the camera to be a spider or a bug, and you can clearly see the face, and it stays in the exact same spot for about 3 hours. If you're in the paranormal community, I'd actually really love your opinion on this, and if you can debunk it, even better, because it's made me not want to be at my house.
Here's a story no one asked me to tell, but I'm going to tell it anyway. As an event designer here in New Orleans, I went to a lot of places, a lot of these downtown places known for really strange things happening. And one of those places that was very popular, still is a restaurant called Muriel's. And in Muriel's, you go down this long corridor, which was used as an entryway, and back in the day had like horse and buggies and that kind of thing. But I'm pretty clairvoyant, and every time I go down that corridor, I can just feel it. Some people can't, and they're like, you're crazy, you don't know what you're talking about. But if you're like me, you know that kind of feeling, that eerie feeling. So at the end of this corridor, it's at the bottom of the steps. So Muriel's has this table set up, and you are supposed to, if you have events, which are always upstairs, set it and put like a roll or a piece of bread, 2 glasses of red wine. And so they tell people this. They're like, you know, you should really do this. So I was working an event, and I had my whole team come in, and we're carrying everything up these stairs. It's like 3 flights of stairs. And you go up to these 2 rooms, and then they have this back room that's called the seance room. Now, I don't go in the seance room because I don't want to feel what I know I can feel. So I just like beware, I'm not going in there. So we set everything up, it's fine, and then we leave. Well, that night, my husband and Mr. Houston, who has worked with us for 30 years, went to go and pick up everything. So they see the table, table still doesn't have anything on it. They go up the stairs to take everything down. And what they walk into are all these people, some of them laughing, some of them in shock, some of them look like they're white as a ghost, all of this stuff, all discussing the same thing. So what happened was when someone got up to do a speech, the wait staff had these champagne glasses all lined up on the side on a table and on this mantle above it. And so when the person stood up to give a speech, there goes the wine glasses one at a time. Pop, 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 pop. On their own, everybody's looking to see who's breaking those wine glasses. It wasn't an act. It wasn't planned. It wasn't some kind of like little, you know, woo, New Orleans kind of thing that we planned. It was them. And so if you ever go to Muriel's, and especially if you have an event there, you better believe that table better be set. They need to be invited to your event. I have a story that no one asked me to tell, but I'm going to tell it anyway. And this one has a picture with it. So wait till the end so you can see I have proof on this that I'm telling you, and really on almost everything that I say. So my husband and I bought this old house in 2006, and over 200 years old. And I was really worried about the house. And so I one day just called this psychic. She was actually on Sirius Radio. So I ended up talking to her, and then I ended up like setting up this call with her later on, and then eventually we became friends. So one of the things she said about the house was, she says, you know, there's a little girl that lives there. This was early on. This was like 2006, 2007. She told me, she says, a little girl that lives there. And I said, oh no, there's no little girl that lives here except my little girl. And she says she's up at the top of the stairs. She has a white dress on. She has black hair, and her hair pulled back with a little blue bow. And I was like, okay. Well, every once in a while I would be sitting there like late at night, and I would hear like children's laughter. And I would look up, look around, because I thought maybe my husband was there with the kids or whatever. We didn't live there. So always, nobody was there. So I kind of just blew it off, and every once in a while she'd say, hey, did you ever see that little girl? I'm like, yeah, you know, I don't really see things. I hear things, I smell things, that kind of thing. Very rarely do I actually see something unless it's in the corner of my eye. No, I haven't seen your little girl. Not even thinking about it. So we decide my son's wedding is going to be there. And so my friend came, and she's this fantastic floral artist from New Orleans. And so she decorates it. It's fabulous, flowers everywhere. Great photographers. They come in, they do pictures. So the pictures come back from the photographer. And we're looking at them. They're beautiful. They're beautiful. Probably like, I don't know, the 5th, 6th time we're going through them. My oldest daughter came to me and she said, I want you to look at something. And in the front of the house that has the only original window of over 200 years, so it was one of those wavy windows, there she was. The little girl with the black hair, pulled back with a ribbon, and her little white dress. She came to the wedding, and she's in our pictures. So, look at the picture yourself. See if it gives you goosebumps.
You?
Is it me? It's not me.
It's motion sensor. There's no one over there. Okay, do it one more time.
Do it one more time, please. So, you're a girl? You're a girl. Are you? She's a girl.
And just for show, let's see if it comes on right here. I'm right here. Nothing. Are you 5? Are you 6? 7?
8.
9? You're 9? You're 9 years old?
Your name starts with a B? Is it Brianna?
Brittany. Is your name Brittany?
Is it Bianca?
That's a weird name.
I don't know what
Came to mind?
Yeah.
Bianca?
No, we have a Bianca friend.
Something that claims to be the spirit of a 9-year-old girl named Bianca began using the faucet to communicate with her daughter.
That was creepy.
What do you mean creepy?
How did Diva guess it? Yeah, it is creepy.
You're gonna be with me?
Suddenly, the faucet stops as a shadow is seen moving towards her daughter.
I know there's someone here, baby. It's just a little chilly in here. My nose is freezing up. What noise, baby? Does it? Can you do a screen recording?
Immediately after this, the father begins to hear static from the video call as they feel the room getting cold.
Okay, Dad, I'm gonna go walk here.
Tell me a ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable but is entirely true.
Okay, so the story I'm about to tell is why I will never touch a Ouija board. When I was in elementary school, I went to a friend's sleepover party for her birthday. It was me, her, a few of our mutual friends, and a few of her friends who I didn't know personally. The house that my friend lived in was kind of old, dark, a little bit far out from the city, but not completely isolated, but still kind of creepy. So this was back in the late 90s, early 2000s. So while we're having this sleepover, we're playing all of those games that we used to play back then. So we played Light as a Feather, we played Bloody Mary, and we just sat around telling ghost stories in the dark. All of that was fine. Nothing out of the ordinary happened while we were doing that. So after we get done with those games, I hear one of her friends talking to some of the other girls, and she's asking them like, oh, should I do it? Do you want to see it? Should we try it? And it turns out that she brought a Ouija board, and she was trying to see if anybody else wanted to try it out with her. So for context, while I was growing up, had some paranormal experiences, or at the very least experiences that I can't explain. And so for me, I prefer to just stay away from anything like that. I didn't like to engage. So the fact that all of my friends were trying to, mess around with the Ouija board was making me really uncomfortable. So they placed the Ouija board on the floor, and then everyone who was going to play sat down in a circle around the Ouija board. Everyone participated except for myself and one other girl. So since I wasn't participating, I sat down on an armchair that was right in front of where they were sitting on the floor. And then the other girl, who was also not participating, she sat on an armchair off to my left. And her armchair had its back to my friend's sliding glass door that led out to her deck. All of the lights were off in the room that we were playing in. Pretty much all the lights, in that entire floor were off. The only thing that was on was the TV, and the TV was on just in the background on mute, and everything else again was just pitch black dark. So the girls who were playing start asking it questions, like silly stuff like, oh, who am I gonna marry? Am I gonna be rich? Stuff like that. So everything was going fine And then all of a sudden, one of the girls slams her hand down on the board and says in this kind of, I don't know, strange voice. It was still her voice, but it just, the tone was a little off. She slams her hand down and she says, "You guys are doing it wrong. You're supposed to say hello first. Don't be rude." And so everyone looks at her like, wow, what a weirdo. But they went ahead and listened to her anyway. So they started over, they said hello, and then they started asking new questions. At this point, they're asking these questions. The planchette is moving. They start arguing over who's actually moving it and, whatever. While this is happening, all of a sudden, the hairs on my arms and the back of my neck start pricking. And I look up at where the TV is. Next to the TV, off to the right, was a hallway. The hallway was dark because, again, all the lights are off. The hallway is dark, but the entrance to the hallway is right next to the TV. And so what I see there is a silhouette, a pitch black, dark silhouette of what appears to be a person. And I was so freaked out, but I couldn't look away. I was staring at it and I thought maybe that's just her dad. And so I'm looking for any sign that this figure that I'm looking at is her dad. But the problem is that her dad had kind of long, scraggly hair that was like, it would show off over here. So he also had a fairly thick beard. So if that was her dad, I still would have been able to see from the shadow silhouette his hair and his beard. This figure had nothing. It was an outline and nothing else. I also couldn't feel, I don't know if any of you have experienced this. If you have, please let me know, because this is the strangest thing I've ever seen. I didn't get that feeling of recognition that you get when you're looking at another human. Even if you don't know the person, you at least intuitively know that you're looking at a human being. I did not get that from this figure that I was looking at. So while I'm staring at this thing, and I don't even know how long I was staring at it, the same girl who slammed her hand down, all of a sudden, projectile vomits all over the board. And obviously, as soon as she does it, everyone who is sitting around the board screams and scatters away from the board. Everyone's staring at her, including me. That broke my concentration. So I'm staring at her, and she kept her head down, looking at the board after she vomited. And she says in this, like, almost whisper tone, oh, it freaks me out. I said, "Don't be rude." So at that point, I hear the bedroom door to where my friend's dad was sleeping open. I hear him walking down the hall, and I see him coming from where the figure was standing. And when I watched him do that, I knew for a fact that was not her dad that I saw standing there. And I know that because, again, like I said earlier, you would be able to see his hair, you'd be able to see his beard as part of his shadow. So needless to say, I did not sleep a wink that night. I don't think anyone else did either. I never went back to her house, and I 100% will never touch a Ouija board.